Hello, I'm Sam Gray and I'm the designer of Peaks, a mountaineering board game for 1 to 6 players. I just thought I'd put a little video together to share with you how I teach Peaks. This isn't a how to play video, so if you don't yet know how to play the game, check the description of this video for a link to the full rules video I've done. This is for you if you already know how to play yourself and you'll be teaching it to others. I've fully taught the game to well over 100 people now, and so I thought it might be of some benefit if I shared my experience here. The first thing I do is set up the game. Board, cards, everything, and I let players choose their player colour, and then I set up my player mat and invite the other players to copy me while I describe the components of the game. I don't describe what they do, I just describe what they are. So the small square energy token goes on space 12, the small circular stamina token goes on space 7, etc, etc. I do the full setup, but I leave the boost cards in the box where they belong for the first play. I do think this is important because it means that we can get to the actual game sooner rather than having to give players all the information they need to make an informed decision about which boost card to choose before anyone's even started to take a turn. So, after the setup, I explain the theme and overall goal of the game. We'll be climbing mountains, beginning the game with the easier A mountains as we build up our stamina and experience. And then we'll end the game climbing the B mountains, trying to get more flags, which are basically points. And when everyone's got all of their flags out onto the board, the game ends, and it's most flags wins after end game scoring. You know, something simple like that. I then turn my attention to the turn structure and the actions it can take on your turn, and I briefly describe rest and prepare. So on your turn, choose one action and place a cube on said action. And then I'll run through the rest action, each step of the rest action briefly, so you can travel to any continent. And I will explain that they don't need to, that they will understand why I would want to do that later, but they don't need to know details at this point. They just need to know what to do. Fortunately, the concepts of gaining energy and gaining mountains are very easy to grasp outside of the rest of the context of the game. So when you don't know the rules of the intricacies of mountains and climbing, it's still quite easy to understand that you will gain energy and spend energy, and you will need to gain mountains at some point. I approach the climb turn slightly differently. I always feel that people retain information better by playing and actually making decisions. And fortunately, Peaks is quite forgiving, so if you make a bad decision on your first turn, it won't ruin your game. So while I go through the climb turn, I take this as my actual first turn of the game. If I don't have an easy mountain, I'll ask the player to my right if they're all right with me guiding them through a climb turn. Worst case, I'll just swap a mountain so that I've got an easy one for the sake of the teach. Usually players are all right with that. I often get accused of cheating if I do, but it's all in jest, I'm sure, hopefully. So choose one of your mountains and either it's X or Y rewards. This is where I explain the layout of a mountain card, rewards at the top, requirements at the bottom, and then I'd explain the benefits of the rewards shown on the card that I'm climbing. So in this case, I'd explain die upgrades and stamina, with a super brief, like 1 sentence explanation of why you might want those things. So stamina means that you'll gain more energy whenever you rest, and die upgrades upgrade the last step of each action, making them stronger, something like that. Then I read out the next step. You and others who tag along travel and pay requirements. This is where I invite the other players to come with me if they want. This is the first time in the game I'm asking them to make a decision, and I will explain to them what they will get for joining me and how spending energy works at this time. Then once everyone's decided to come with me or not, we go through the last step of the climb action, which is where I go through gaining rewards and walk them through experience advances. After my turn, rather than telling the next player it's your turn, I'll ask them whether they want more energy, whether they want another mountain, or whether they want to climb one of the mountains that they have. And then I'll leave them to make the decision and we'll go from there. I'll explain other rewards and requirements that you might find on mountain cards when they come up in the game or when people ask about them, inevitably. But if everyone's taken a couple of turns and you see some icons that aren't yet explained, then that's usually the time I would do that. I only explain action bonuses, so the cubes on the top of your actions, when someone's about to take usually their third action. Yeah, when everyone's had 2 turns, I'll usually kind of pause and explain action bonuses and the benefits of taking multiple of the same action. I never explain tile upgrades or continent perks until someone actually reaches the first tile upgrade spot on the experience track. I designed this game to have some emergent complexity where not all the rules apply right at the start of the game, so that you don't have to bore people with a 20-minute teach before they can even take turns. It really does help, at least for me, it really does help people learning a game not to bombard them with information that they don't need to know at the time. Detail when they need it. So once everyone has a few turns, I'll explain that the mountain decks switch when someone gets to here on the track. And that's usually, when that happens, is usually also a good time to explain endgame scoring. So a little bit in advance so that people can feel like they can prepare for the extra bonuses that you get at the end of the game. And also when we get to that halfway point, I do tell players when the deck switch happens that we are at the halfway point, just so that they know, they kind of have a sense of how long the game will last. And it could be a bit demoralizing for some if they've only got 3 flags on the board and they think therefore they've got another 4 hours ahead of them when actually we're already halfway. So that's it. As you can see from my approach, most of the rules can be explained after we've started to take turns and players are fully engaged. I do try to keep the pre-game teach to a maximum of 5 minutes, but obviously if players are asking questions every 5 seconds, you've got to teach the group in front of you. It's not one size fits all. I hope you found this useful. Please rate the game on Board Game Geek if you've played it, link in the description. And if you've got any questions, ask them in the comments here or in the forums over on Board Game Geek, where I'll give you an answer as fast as I can. Thanks for watching.